Good day, everyone. A very warm welcome to the mediation table. Before I start this mediation session proper, I propose a short round of introduction. I'll start first. My name is Xingyu. You can call me XY for that matter, simply because it is easier to pronounce and hopefully it helps to overcome some language barriers. I'm from Singapore Management University, and I, along with Aisha, will serve as your co-mediators for the session. Aisha, if you could please introduce yourself to the parties.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Aisha Guddahan, and I am from Istanbul Bilgi University, and I will be serving as one of your co-mediators today, along with XY, and we are attended by ADR ODR International Mediation Center. Please feel free to call me by my first name, Aisha Gud, or Aisha, as the way you would feel comfortable with. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. Of course, what's most important to you is that we are both independent, neutral, and impartial, and we are here to assist you to reach a negotiated solution. Now, may I invite all the parties present at the table to kindly introduce themselves, tell us how we should address you, and maybe some personal pronouns that we need to keep in mind. Also, it would be great if you can confirm your authority to make decisions and representations. So maybe we can start with the requesting party.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. My name is Ana Paula, but please feel free to call me Ana. And today I'm representing the CEO of Sun is All We Need. And yes, I do have the authority to make decisions in the name of the company. Please address me as she and her.
Hello, everyone. Good evening or morning to everyone. My name is Natalia Augusta. You may call me Natalia. My preferred pronouns are she and her, and I'm here today representing Sun is All We Need's legal interests.
Thank you. Maybe the responding party.
Very well. Thank you very much, XY and Aisha. Hello, everyone. I am Fazara Atifa. You may address me as Farah, and I am the CEO of Stars in Your Eyes. And I suppose to celebrate our love for each other for poetic purposes, I hope, Anna, you may agree to referring to each other, to each our respective parties as Sun and Star for the joint session letter. And yeah, with that, I have full authority to settle this agreement through this mediation today on behalf of my company, Stars in Your Eyes. And I'm here alongside my counsel, Arya, if you may introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to meet every single one of you. I'm Arya Yudhistira Darmawan, the legal counsel for Star.
Thank you all parties for affirming that you have full authority to settle in this mediation session. To start off, I would like to extend my heartiest appreciation for both the parties for coming to mediation, especially during these depressing times of COVID-19 pandemic. I would also like to thank both the parties for entrusting Aisha and I with the responsibility of facilitating the resolution of this dispute. Mediation is like building a space shuttle. All parties need to work together to put the pieces together to build a functional and durable space shuttle that can serve space missions. Similarly, in mediation, both parties need to work together to form a mutually beneficial solution to reach a common goal. I understand that some of you might have been to a mediation session before or even be an expert in mediation. But just to ensure that all of us are on the same page, Aisha and I will just quickly run you through what mediation is all about, its processes, certain technical details, and features that we need to keep in mind for the present session to move smoothly. Firstly, always remember that mediation is a voluntary process. You are here today because you've chosen to be here. The fact that all of you are here on this virtual table on a Sunday definitely shows your motivation and drive to find a mutually beneficial solution. Secondly, as all of you would have known already, mediation is a process to talk to each other, but it is more importantly a process to listen to one another. During this process, Aisha and I will be facilitating. While we might have some power in the process, we have absolutely no power in the merits. You are the stars for your own mediation. We, the mediators, can serve as the constellation that connect the stars and paint a beautiful sky together. And as we all know, the sky has no limit. Thirdly, this mediation session is without prejudice. And what this means is that anything you said here will be kept confidential and will not be used against you in court. Mediators are bound by law to keep the information confidential, so whatever you say in this room stays in this room, unless you say otherwise. As for the caucus sessions that my co-mediator will be sharing more about, they will be subjected to a double confidentiality, meaning that the other party will not know the content of our caucuses unless you agree the disclosure. I hope this encourages both parties to be open and talk freely about any particular options or solutions which you might want to discuss with one another. This will help us move towards some sort of resolution or at least a consensus on what issues to discuss in the next session. I would also like to remind both parties that nothing you said here is binding until we have a settlement agreement that both parties find satisfactory and sign on it. So do be rest assured that you will have the opportunity to address all your concerns and interests, as we will continue to have in the mediation sessions. Now, I'll pass my time to my co-mediator, Aisha, to explain more to you about the mediation process with the aid of an interesting metaphor. On to you, Aisha.
Thank you so much, XY, for your great explanation. And hello again from Turkey to everyone. And to start with from somewhere, me and my co-mediator, we see space industry as a brand new baby. And this newborn, from our point of view, has the brightest future to serve the humanity. But for now, it is parties' place to take a role, to raise that baby, to fulfill its needs until the baby turn into an adult. When one of them changing the diapers, then the other one would be preparing the formula. Besides these metaphors, of course, what we actually mean that all operations in space industry are still in process, but relies on the fate of future. As I've taken away from the mediation sessions that conducted in space industry disputes, mediation is a great opportunity and combination of gathering and structuring a foresight for the parties to enlighten their development by the collaboration they maintain. Because the baby will not tell us why he, she, they is crying, but rather we can only understand the reason by gathering our accumulation of knowledge and experience. Today, we will be discussing and negotiating the contractual dispute occurred between two startup companies in space industry, Sun is All We Need and Stars in Your Eyes, both based in Chief Valley. As we are taken away in respect to information we received, Sun is All We Need operations through the industry are originated in storing power from solar system. And Stars in Your Eyes operations are conducted around a carbon neutral and accessible space travels. Me and my co-mediator are pleased to assist you in working through your issues and believe you will find mediation to be a very helpful process. First of all, I wish we could participate this session on a real table, but in respect of COVID-19, today we will join the discussion by Zoom. So if you need any special thing to say or connectional issues, please let us know now or at any time during the session. Also, I would like to ask everyone to silence all electronic devices until the end to not have any interruptions. And lastly, I would like to call all the participants to keep their cameras on during the session and remain their microphones off when other participants giving their speeches. Also, if you have any question regarding the language barrier, please do not hesitate to ask the other party or mediators for a clarification to make sure that we understand each other clearly. As my co-mediator has presented the importance of the respect through the session, we are calling the both parties to act in respect to the language and also cultural diversities. Before we begin, let me explain the process we will use. When I complete these preliminary remarks, each party will explain what brought you to this session and describe the problem as you see it. When you have completed your opening remarks, me and my co-mediator will make a quick summary by asking your consent to do so. Afterwards, we will transition into a joint discussion where we can fully discuss the nature of the dispute as well as negotiate possible solutions. As my co-mediator has stated, we may meet with each of you separately at some point. This is called a caucus or individual meeting, and these meetings will remain only for 7 minutes. We will use the caucus to clarify some concerns you may have, to be more assistance in guiding you to resolve your dispute. The information you share during the caucus is double confidential and will not be shared during the joint discussion unless you specifically give consent to do so. Just to remind the advances you are able to receive from mediation is that it is a cost and time efficient, also a flexible process. And since today's world development is faster than ever before, the most important need is to saving the time and money by reaching the most functioning solution. The process will be only shaped by your discussion, your relationship, and your interests as the way you would like to collaborate through. Thank you for committing to be here today. Your presence demonstrates your willingness to attempt cooperative problem solving. Would you like to suggest any other ground rules that me and my co-mediator haven't mentioned today for the session? Can I have a thumbs up, maybe? So to understand that you don't have suggestions. Thank you so much.
Ms. Mediator,
For a minute.
may I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
I would like to ask if a cross caucus is possible within the session.
Yes, there will be possible to have a cross caucus. Thank you for your plan.
Thank you very much.
Aisha, I would also like to ask a question.
Of course.
You've addressed the possibility of technical difficulties due to the online environment. I was wondering if due to these difficulties and that may occur, if the time will be suspended of the session so everything gets back to normal. Am I to understand that?
Yes, we will of course stop the time and we will address the matter. No
Yes,
worries.
of course. If there's any connection problems, you can also call for a break, and there will be a 2-minute break, if that is helpful.
Thank you.
All we ask is that you sincerely agree to attempt to resolve this dispute, agree to treat one another with mutual respect, and agree to give consideration to all suggestions made in regard to developing a realistic solution to the problem. Are there any other questions at this point? I assume not. And I would like to receive an oral agreement from the parties that the essentials of the mediation has been understood and accepted.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you very much,
absolutely.
Aisha and XY.
Thank you so much. And before we transition into joint discussion, we suggest parties to set an agenda to proceed systematically and to not miss any points, as you also experienced in the other sessions. So if it is okay and no other suggestions in otherwise, we can start with hearing the requesting parties. Sun is all we need with their opening remarks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, XY and Aisha, for all you've addressed so far. So good morning or good evening or good night, depends on where you're at the world. As I've mentioned before, I'm Ana Paula, but please feel free to call me Ana. As the CEO of Sun is All We Need, that I will so kindly refer to as Sun, like Farah has already suggested in the beginning, which I absolutely agree with. I'd like to reaffirm my commitment towards the mediation process that you've just explained, and also towards cooperation so we can find a common solution for our problems, no matter how out of this world they actually are. So mediation is the best place for us to talk freely and speak our minds. We can all share our emotions and technical issues, aiming to find a solution that will attend all parties. That's why I have no shame to say that I entered this session with a broken heart and a worried mind. I'm here not only as a proud CEO, but as a former partner whose heart been shattered. With that, I'd like to present a bit of how those two situations met and how we've ended up here. So Sun is a startup company based in Chip Valley, and our main mission is to apply the use of the sun's power to all travel. We are constantly developing new technologies and aiming to store the power generated from solar. We've probably won several awards regarding our P20 battery that can be used in homes solar storage, and we are currently working on the P30, a battery that will be applied to cars. In 2021, while we were in a conference, I was lucky enough to meet you, Farah, as you're very aware. And you were the one person who I understood I could share the great passion of my life with. So I feel like here I have the comfortable space to openly say that soon we started dating. And 8 weeks into our relationship, we decided to sign an agreement so both companies could work together. Our first goal will be to test the power and range of the batteries applied to STAR's rocket prototype, Take Me to the Moon 1. Our main goal would be actually to have a less carbon dependent world. And trust me, my ultimate goal is to help our home planet to be free from fuels and all the consequences that they bring. So I've studied climate change my whole life. It is one of my greatest passions. And trust me when I say I felt a piece of my heart was taken when our problems with STARS started. We needed more time to achieve the demands and to make the product perfect. And the previous amount of USD $20 million, unfortunately, they were not enough. So we're dealing with new technologies and recent developments. We have so much to study and so much hands in this project that we feel like a true sky with bright stars, all searching for the ultimate goal to shine together. We need each other to achieve our common goals, like we used to need each other, Farah, just before everything happened. So that's why we're here. We need to solve all of our matters and make sure that we find a common ground. Because of that, I thought of some questions that might help us reestablish our communication and find a common galaxy in our sky. I would just like to reaffirm that as both the mediators have pointed out due to the language differences, please feel free to ask me to repeat all the questions and anything I say during the session. So firstly, I'd like to understand, Farah, why couldn't you grant us more time and money when we mentioned that it was so vital to the project development? And also, I didn't understand why didn't you try to reach me regarding the relationship later? And finally, what plans do you have for our future partnership and relationship? See, Farah, I know I've said that we must keep business and pleasure apart. However, due to some matters, I need to understand the personal side so we can reach a technical solution in the best way possible, thinking of our companies. Finally, I'd like to, just like I said before, reaffirm that we are here aiming for a win-win solution, not only for our companies to evolve, but also so we can, as human beings who share the same passions, attain our own expectations. The sky is bright and full of stars. So let us join them in a ceremony that will guide us through this process and into an I do agreement. All legal matters will be addressed by my counselor. So Natalia, if you please.
Natalia, may I ask a little question before you start, so not to interrupt you?
Sure.
Thank you so much. Anna, can you repeat the last question you have? You will be transferring to the other party?
Yeah, absolutely. So, sorry, is it the last one only?
Yes, last one only.
Absolutely. So my final question was, what plans do they have for our future partnership and especially Farah to the relationship that we've so sadly ended?
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so hello everyone. As I've mentioned before, my name is Natalia and I'm here representing Sun's legal interests. So it is really important to address that we are here to approach the contract and its details, seeing that there have been clear misunderstandings to be solved. The technicalities regarding this case are essential as we are dealing with large sums of money. I emphasize that the objectives regarding the maintenance of this partnership are similar, as both companies achieve to complement and each other's ideals with their projects and technologies. We do not intend to linger whatsoever in the personal figure feelings and relationship of our CEO, but in attaining the best means possible to rebuild the relationship of the companies and attain the demands from both. Having that said, it is ideal to point out some major situations that we do believe that have to be discussed and approached so the negotiation can take place and evolve as we so hope it does. For that, we suggest the following topics for the agenda we will build collectively. First, we would like to talk about the communication issues, for we believe that this will be essential for the business conversation to actually be able to be brought to the table. Second, we would like to talk about the business relationship with two subtopics, being the first one, deadline, the second one, the payment. Lastly, we would like to address the future of the relationship between the two companies that are being addressed, that are being represented here today. Thank you.
May I again, I assume that I'm having connection issues. May I again have a repeat of the last point?
Sure, just the last one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the last one is the future of the relationship between the companies.
Okay. So I assume that you are giving your consent for me to quickly summarize the statements you made. So that Sun is a successfully operating startup company based in Chip Valley. And as I've taken in account that Anna believes in advances of this mediation session to resolve the dispute, and I would like to highlight that operations in climate change is an ideal for her. And I would also like to be summarizing the contractual background of this dispute. The parties' CEOs have met in a conference, and I assume that it was 15 months before today, and started their collaboration before the dispute arose, and also 15 months before. And the collaboration was subjected on the prototype rocket produced by Star called Take Me to the Moon. Sorry, I always have to do this, I feel. And which will be completed along with the battery that will be produced by sun for power to be generated from solar system. As I've taken away, the prototype was developed to travel for sustainable carbon neutrality and long-lasting battery, which is essential for the rocket. And right after the operation started, since the project's manners are complex, as I assume, then it is expected. But regarding the know-how and certified success that Sun is holding, they believe that they will be successfully operating and they're, as I've taken away from their statement, capable as a cooperator of STAR's project. As I've taken away, 10 days before the contractual plan as agreed for the delivery of the batteries, the parties started to contact with each other by mail, and the requesting party explained the situation, and they asked for a possible extra time and extra money for the completion of the project, and which was directly rejected by the responding party. And now the parties around this table, the dispute occurred nearly 2 months ago and will generate the possible options to highlight that this will be a very helpful process to communicate on a clear ground. So I hope that the personal background, as I have heard, will be helpful for the parties to understand each other's concerns in a more clear way by emphasizing each other's issues, because me and my co-mediator believe that you can use that background in advance to address and fulfill each other's needs while resolving your dispute. And also, I have pointed out 3 questions that Anna has addressed. And in regard to that, the 3 interests that requesting parties addressing, she would like to receive information about the underlying reason that STAR has rejected the extra time and extra money request, and 2, why Farah hasn't reached out before her about the dispute that they have having between right now, and 3, what plans for the future that they have been conducting between the partnership. So in respect to that, three points of agenda that they would like to suggest today to be discussed. First, communication issues. Two, business relationship, which as two subpoints, the deadline and the payment. And three, future collaboration for the partnership. Did I miss any points that I haven't mentioned in your from an opening statement?
Actually, excuse me, Aisha, may I do a correction regarding the second question that I asked? Just to make sure everyone got it clearly. So actually it was, why didn't Farah to reach me regarding the relationship after we discussed business? As she's very aware, unfortunately, we had to face a breakup through the email. So my question would be to why did she choose that instead of trying maybe to call me or to reach to solve this matter after we could solve the business things?
So as I understood, you would like to receive information about why Farah has ended the relationship but not reach out to you about the business relationship and the dispute that we're dealing here, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, it's actually why she makes the two of them in the email, because previously I had said it was better to leave those apart. And I would just like to see if I could understand what motives she had to do that, and maybe we can find a solution that would benefit both of us.
Great. Okay, so if there is no other suggestions for me to point out, I would like to leave the floor to the responding parties, Stars in Your Eyes, to make their opening statements.
Very well. Well, hello, everyone. Pleased to be joining here with you all today. In this recovering time, it's great that we're still able to gather here to discuss pertaining to the matter in hand, although via online. It totally would have been better if we were to meet physically. Nevertheless, I hope you're all in great conditions. XY and Aisha, thank you very much for the explanation of the technicalities of the mediation, as well as your willingness in facilitating this session today. Hopefully, with your assistance, we could have the best solution to resolve all the misunderstandings. And I would also like to extend my deepest gratitude to Anna and Natalia for inviting me and my counsel to this mediation today. Anna, you know that it's always nice meeting you. As seeing you now, I'm really looking forward in how we can best solve this professionally on behalf of our company. But anyway, as well as Natalia, it's also really nice to meet you. For starters, I'd just like to say, Anna, you know just how much I value our collaboration. My interest with you wasn't solely because of how good looking you are or how your personality is. It's rather your brain. Hence, I'm very grateful we have this opportunity for the both of us to clear the challenges we have within our companies. Hopefully, we'll get the outcome we want that's mutually agreeable for the sake of reaching further harmony within our collaboration. For starters, to give context to the mediators about the current situation, just as Anna and Natalia did previously, let me just first reminisce back to our golden years, the start of it all. For starters, XY and Aisha, I've always loved everything and related to space, and has always wanted to go to space. From a very young age, my parents would love to watch, would always take me to watch all the Star Wars and Star Trek films and spend many nights researching about the space. As my parents know my obsession for space, for my 9th birthday, I received a telescope to follow the International Space Station and stellar constellations. And who would have thought that based off of my obsession with Star Wars and Star Trek, I got to experience a lot of things that take me to where I am today, including to join the United People Republic's Air Force, then completing all of their classes, to join Mr. Task Space program, and even got the opportunity to start my own space rocket project that I'm highly proud of, Stars in Your Eyes, that is truly one of a kind, as it literally takes you to the moon by its wind and solar power. Anna, you're probably aware and well familiar with all of this, as I remember that these are actually some of the topics we talked about during our first date. And you are one of the most people that I'm familiar to talk about this with. as I mentioned, my interest with you was rather with how inspiring you are. So you could only imagine how held over heels I was when I first met you with my initial purpose to talk about business with you. But look at where we are now. I guess we really shouldn't mix business with pleasure. But what's past is past. And what better to do for the both of us to just move on for the sake of our companies? So, Anna, as you previously mentioned about the 8th week of our anniversary, you could only imagine how surprised I was when you initiated the both of us to have a collaboration within our companies. Aside from the fact that I am interested with you, your company, Sun, is also well aligned with the values that my company is keeping close with. So we sealed the deal. My company provided you with the $200 million of funding in exchange for the home battery that would be installed within my prototype of rocket. Our company's representatives also discussed about the whole timeline of the delivery of the battery. But how would you think I felt when I first found out that you can actually fulfill the timeline that we agreed upon? I was perplexed, Anna, even confused, because I know you're not one to disappoint. And Anna, as I heard upon your perspectives, I truly understand your concern in regards to the current situation that we are in, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from too. Hence, I hope this session today, just as XY and Aisha mentioned, could be the perfect way for us to resolve all of the gaps of understandings. And in this case, I would need your collaboration, as I will do the same, by being transparent and honest. As I'd also like to clarify actually some of the things that you have mentioned before in regards to the project regarding the delay, as well as the financial, the funding, and how we could better move on from it to generate a solution. Anna, from then and now, I trust that you will take me to the moon so that we may play among the stars. My counsel and I came here today bearing good faith to clear the air. And I wish that at the end of the day, this could be a great opportunity for the both of us to learn. That's all from me. I would like to pass this on to my counsel to explain further my interests. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Farah. It's customary at this point, but for the sake of consistency, I'd like to make sure I'm fully audible. Perhaps Ms. Mediator could confirm this.
Yes, you're perfectly audible.
Thank you so much. I'm sure you will, but please do let me know if there are such issues throughout the session from either me or my client. As I'm going to keep in mind, this introduction is going to be simple and concise. I'm Arya Yudhistira Darmawan, counsel accompanying my client, Ms. Farah. Thank you so much. Good time of day, everyone. As I've previously been introduced, I'd like to echo my client's gratitude to Ms. Mediator and, of course, to Sun for agreeing to meet with us today. It is rather unfortunate that we have to meet under this circumstance where I believe the parties would rather celebrate other occasions. Alas, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that we have some issues here to iron out. Hopefully, I wrote down all the questions unanswered by Ms. Farah. If I miss any, please do bring them up in the joint session. First of all, we support Ms. Anna's goal of carbon neutrality. Though to the question, why couldn't my client grant more funding? Like you said, business and pleasure shall be separated. And the rejection for funding is not personal. The reasoning for this is actually in two parts. First is legal, as we had previously agreed upon a budget, and we already had a timeline. Citing the foundational legal maxim, pacta sunt servanda, an agreement must be kept. Second, it's economic. We are simply looking out for our expenses. And at the end of the day, STAR is a business. Hopefully, this made it easier for the mediators to note down. Re-emphasizing in this discussion, I have already advised my client to set aside her personal fondness, and of course, out of good faith and respect for the process of mediation. I was touched by Ms. Anna's expression of broken heart and worried mind. Thus, I'm sure I'm not the only one hoping that the two lovebirds would take flight. Nevertheless, for those who may not be aware, I'd like to catch everyone up to speed to what's going on here at STAR. Our main concern in this session is financial in nature. If I may start from the 30th of March 2022, where the battery test was conducted, This was followed by a funding approval by STAR with the amount of $200 million. We expected the project to be completed by February 2023, though this date was later exceeded. To our surprise, my client was then confronted by another request for additional funding, which we previously mentioned was rejected. Thus, we would like to highlight some of the most noteworthy issues to us, though they in no regard mean to demean the concerns conveyed by Sun. First of all, I would like to propose the agenda of clarification. This will be followed by two sub-agendas of delay and funding. I would like to have another agenda under this as solution. This agenda could then be followed by what was mentioned by Sun, communication and future relationship, as the last and third agenda. Additionally, for an abundance of reason, we are aware both parties do not wish to resort to litigation. Thus, I already advised my client to make the most of today's mediation. Finally, as these issues are the only thing that stands in the way from us finding out what spring is like in Jupiter and Mars, I would like to close. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your opening statement. If I may just summarize them. So, of course, Farah, it will be better to meet physically, but I assure you that this virtual mediation session will be as great. So I understand that you wish to solve this problem professionally on behalf of your company and that you value collaboration with the other party. The interest you have here with Anna is really how inspiring she is, which you said is her brain. And you gave a context on how everything happened. You loved everything related to space and always wanted to go to space. Well, I share your same sentiments, Farah. You got a lot of experience and you started your own space rocket project, which is STARS. So it literally takes you to the moon. So there are some topics, you listed some topics that you talked about in our first date, and it's very happy for me to hear them. So you said that it's the same as Anna, you really don't want to mix business with pleasure, and what's past is the past, so you want to move on for the sake of your companies. Of course, you're surprised pleasantly with the collaborations, as Sun is well aligned with Star in terms of the business goals. So, however, you are very perplexed because you know Anna wouldn't want to disappoint, and hence you are here to resolve all the gaps by being transparent and honest, and you want to discuss the financial and funding and how we can move on. So of course, you ended your opening statement with trusting Anna that she will take you to the moon and you can play among the stars together. And then your counsel, Arya, has told us that you support Anna's claim of business and pleasure must be separated. And the rejection of funding, you clarified that it was not personal. An agreement must be kept. And the second thing that you said was that there are economic concerns for today's mediation session because STAR is a business after all, and the main concern today is financial in nature. So you're surprised that there was an additional request for funding. So you proposed an agenda, correct me if I'm wrong. First is the clarification, and under that there's the sub-points of delay and funding, and also solutions that both parties might propose. And the second one is similar to what Anna has proposed, communication issues, and the third, future collaboration issues. Also raised by Arya, both parties would not like to go to litigation, and my co-mediator and I will definitely facilitate and ensure that. Is that correct?
Thank you very much. That was beautifully elaborated. I would like to make a bit of a tweak. I propose that the communication and future relationship be under one agenda.
All right, understood.
Other than that, everything is all clear to me. XY, thank you very much. May I proceed to the agenda setting?
Okay, thank you for everyone's opening statements. And now I assume that everyone can see the whiteboard.
Yes, it's visible, Aisha.
Okay, thank you so much. And now, me and my co-mediator try to conduct the interests and the points that you would like to discuss here today. So what I can just copy and paste the suggestions for the agenda that we have conducted. Then you can start your negotiation by discussing the alternations regarding to that. So this will be the first point of our agenda, and this will be the second and three. Is there any other points that you would like to alterate or to modify?
I think in my regards, what you have generated so far, Aisha, has truly fulfilled all of the interests that I have within this agenda setting today. Maybe I'd like to ask Anna, what do you think, Anna?
Thank you, Farah, for asking for my opinion. So I think it's pretty great. I believe that starting with the clarification, all of our communication noises will be settled down, and we'll be able to explore any solutions and maintain the business and technical addresses that we have mentioned before. So that's pretty fine for me.
So now, if it is okay for everyone, I'm turning off the whiteboard section. And do not forget that this is a flexible process. So at any point, if you would like to add or alterate or modify the agenda, please feel free to ask us so that we can proceed our discussion regarding to your request. And I will be also typing the questions that Anna asked in her opening statement so that everyone can see on a clear ground, and we won't be missing any point that won't be discussed during the session. Thank you so much. And I assume we can start with the requesting party by negotiating the first point of our agenda, the clarifications. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, XY, for your brilliant agenda setting. Thank you for the using a whiteboard. It was much better for us to understand it. So I would like just to clarify something. I'm not sure if I'm being straight enough or clear enough. So maybe Aisha and XY, you can help with that. So I would just like to make sure that the first question was understood correctly, because I mean, I would never trust that you, Farah, would do something like not extending the price or the amount that I asked for due to personal reasons. I mean, as you said, my intelligence was one of the main aspects for you to admire, and trust me, we have that in common, absolutely in common. You're such a strong person with strong values, and trust me, you're inspiring for me just as much as I am for you. Your whole life, your career, everything you've achieved. So I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. And I would never believe that you would do something due to personal reasons, but I would like to thank you. Is it Arya? Did I say it right? Because I don't want to get it wrong.
Yes, you did. That was perfect. Thank you.
Great, thanks. So thank you, Arya, for the clarifications. They were great. I would like to reaffirm something I asked that was Aisha that kindly put on the chat for us. So I would like just to understand that if you have mentioned that we should just move on with everything, I can really let go of why you would choose to treat a relationship matter with a partnership matter like you did in the email. I just want to make sure of that. Just to make sure that we're seeing eye to eye on this matter, just so we can essentially move on from where we stand at in the personal relationship, because I believe that this is vital for our business relationship. I mean, we're here to discuss business, right? We thought of solutions, as I mentioned, we want to reach an ideal agreement with you. So for me, it is very important that I understand this, just to make sure that the personal matters will be put aside regarding our business's developments towards solution.
And if I may so add, just before passing the word back to Farah, also it has been said about from Arya, I hope I have said it correctly too, that an agreement must be kept. And yes, we totally agree with that. And Sun strives to honor its commitments as a company. But most importantly, also agreements have to be discussed also if situations change, if things happen. So I believe that part of the problem or the issue that we want to understand also as a company, speaking in Sun's behalf, is why also the abruptness and not so discussion regarding the situation, regarding the timeline, because things could be discussed about the agreement or understood before taking drastic measures, if I made myself clear.
Right. Thank you very much for Anna and Natalia. That truly gave me a lot of enlightenment. But in regards to that much of enlightenment, maybe I would like to ask the mediators to help me recap in regards to all of the informations that have Anna and Natalia has elaborated. And to add to that, maybe could I please have the agendas to also be sent on the chat box, as I see that it has actually been sent in the chat box. But I just want to make sure that all of the discussions that we have to talk about is based off on that. Thank you very much for Aisha and XY.
All right, while my co-mediator Aisha is sending those into the chat box, maybe I can give a summary. So the main thing that Anna was asking for is why, for Farah to answer her question of why you put relationship matters with partnership matters together in that email that you sent. So upon answering these questions, then it will be easier for both parties to put aside personal matters. And for the Natalia, she added that although an agreement must be kept and Sun would love to honor their commitment, she was trying to ask why that agreements should be discussed and why were there no discussions but just an answer. So is that summary correct?
It was very precise. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, XY. That truly helped me to answer better the questions that Anna was asking. So in regards to, I suppose, why I wasn't I believe that the relationship that I have with Anna was strictly personal. Hence, the thing that we are mediating right now is strictly professional. I am here on behalf of my company, as you are too, Anna. I understand that you want to get a better understanding in regard to our, I guess, relationship, but I don't think this could be the perfect time for us to talk about that, as I would want to focus more in regards to how could this delay happen, as well as the payment. But I do understand your questions and why you were asking that. And yeah, in this regard, in this mediation, I don't think there is anything in regards to our personal relationship that I would want to convey in front of the mediators too. That's something that I would want to talk to you personally, Anna. I hope that clarified it. Does that answer your question, Anna?
Not entirely. However, I do understand what you mentioned regarding that you want to discuss business, because actually, I'm not sure if I was clear enough. I was kind of confused with your answer, because I said, let's not mix business and pleasure, so we could talk when I ended the trip. However, you said it's over. So I understand that maybe it was an easier way out for you to avoid this talk. If that's the reason, then it's fine. I absolutely understand. And so if you want to talk business and already move on to the agreement that we had, and if I understood correctly, you have a great worry regarding the deadline. Is that correct? Okay, so firstly, I'd like to understand what demands do you have regarding the timeline, and how can we help you achieve those demands, even though we cannot deliver in the exact time that you ask, but how can we make sure that we attend all your expectations with this deadline issue? if I'm understood correctly. Maybe Aisha and XY can help me ask these questions.
You know, and I think I got your questions perfectly. It was in regards to why I wanted to. I'm actually concerned with the deadlines, right? And to answer that briefly, oh, by the way, I truly appreciate that you are willing to actually just focus on the business relationship that we have right now. It's not that I don't want to talk about our relationship, but it's just not the perfect time for it. And to rewind back on the question, on why I'm focusing on the deadline is because as we have agreed upon a deadline, a timeline, as well as the contract that we have right now, I believe that as I trust you, Anna, you would obviously be suited to what we have agreed upon within our agreement. And there isn't really any expectations that we have within the deadline, aside from the fact that we have to still have it within the deadline that we have right now. And in regards to that, maybe I would pass this to my counsel to, I guess, explain further or ask in regards to my interests. I wish that, because I understand that he would probably understand better.
Thank you. I think there was a question that was overlooked. That was asked by the counsel of the opposing party. So the question was that the first one was asked by Anna, why didn't my client respond to her personal inquiries, I guess? And the second, why didn't we negotiate upon the proposed term? And in this case, the answer is actually the same, both of them. We do not wish, I wish that you would respect my client's decision not to talk about her personal life within this forum. And in regards to why didn't we negotiate, I feel like this is the perfect time to negotiate on the terms. So perhaps we could, that answers the previously overlooked question.
I believe that partially, mostly because what I meant is it brought us this far because it wasn't discussed before. But I believe also XY and Aisha, that there are some things that we would like to discuss to make the discussion more fluid. So I would like to call for a caucus, please, with me and my client and you both.
Yes, of course.
Also, before we go, I would like to know how much time do we have left on the session?
Supervisor.
So while the session supervisor is giving us a time check, maybe I can summarize quickly what has been discussed. So I think both parties are agreeable to put aside the personal matters for the time being. And now we are moving on to discuss the business matters of that part. And hence we are calling a caucus. So maybe session supervisor can put the team A into a breakout room and leave team B with the mediators in this room.
Before we go, may I ask something? Just to make sure that we're clear. So you've mentioned that both XY and B, did they leave the room?
Unfortunately, Farah has left the room. So if it is not a vital question at this point, maybe we can just ask her after our caucus. Or if
it's not actually towards her, it's towards the mediation process, actually.
Okay.
So I would just like to clarify that you've mentioned that the agenda is fluid, and just make sure that Natalia has advised me well, as in, is it okay to say that we are maybe starting to explore some solutions now? Because she mentioned she would like to discuss that. I just want to make sure that we don't have to be strict to the agenda and make it fluid, so we can just work around what we think is best.
I hear you, and this is your discussion, and this is the proceeding that you will be collaboratively take the next step. So if the responding party will also accept the offer, then of course we can move on to the second point of our agenda. And to make a short explanation about this session, it will take only 7 minutes. And I would suggest you to use that 7 minutes in competence with a functioning discussion, because I won't be interrupting the speech if the time is running out. I'm not in a will to do that, so that we can use the time in competence. And also the information you will share will be fully confidential until you give a consent me to share it in joint discussion. And the thing is that I would like to understand under what conditions can this relationship and contract be revised. So if you share information, if you share your perspective, what you brought to this mediation session, and what are your alternatives, and what are your expectations, and what are your foresights, so that I can address the discussion after this caucus in a functioning way for both parties to resolve the dispute. So please, Anna, begin.
Absolutely. Thank you. Can you just make sure that we still have like around 6 or 5 minutes on the caucus? Because I have a few things to say.
Do not rush. I mean, the most important thing is to make an amicable caucus.
Great. Awesome. So my main worry, and obviously Natalia's worry, is that we're facing a quite difficult situation. So what happened was we did receive the 200 million that they sent. However, it was not wisely used through the whole of the company. And that's why we need extra $16 million for us to finally achieve the project. That information I'd like to be fully confidential and not say, not as long as I mentioned this in the joint session, so please. And also, actually, one of my main worries right now is the amount of staff that we have. So it's not a secret that young people are always searching for new jobs and new ways to enter the industry. And in the beginning, our company seems something just, how can I say, like cool and something young words, let's just put it that way. However, some other businesses started to feel a bit more attractive to them. So unfortunately, we've been losing a lot of staff for the last months now, and that's been a main issue. And because we need more people to work on the project, that's one of our main worries regarding the timeline. We need more people. We simply can count with the current staff that we have, and we are trying to find other staff, new people, young people with open minds and open hearts to work with us. But that's been a problem. And that's why we are facing a deadline issue. And maybe you can help me bring the situation up, not regarding the people that are quitting their jobs, however, the lack of staff that we're facing. So I can share it with Farah, just for her to understand that something is not really my fault. We're trying our best around the situation that we're facing. However, some things are quite difficult. And also, if I may, we do have a solution we would like to offer them. It will be from a non-equity partnership. So it is, in my opinion, a very interesting solution and something for us to work on that I truly believe it will attend both companies' interests. However, I have to reassure that obviously I've always respected Farah, and I will respect her wish not to talk about our relationship here. However, we did start the business relationship because of the relationship that we had. So, I mean, that's why I asked that, if you know what I mean. It wasn't in an intention to expose our private matters, but just to understand, because we started as a personal relationship and we evolved to a partnership. And I think it would be important for me to understand why she wouldn't want to address, especially because of a legal matter regarding a relationship between companies, owners. I believe Natalia can explain that better, but I would like just to explain why I brought this topic up. But if she doesn't wish to answer, I would never disrespect her wishes. So that's mainly it. And I would again reaffirm the confidentiality of the financial matter. and also would like to ask for your help for us to bring the proposition and the matter of lack of staff that we're facing to the table. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Anna, for your transparency and sharing all this with us. So because the caucus, we only have 2 minutes left, so maybe I will just clarify what you have shared with us in this caucus. So your main worry is that you're facing quite a difficult situation about the 200 million was not wisely used by your company, and that will definitely be fully confidential. Me and Aisha will not be sharing it with the other party, so be rest assured. And regarding how you are losing a lot of staff and you need more people to work on the project, you hope that the mediators can share with the other party. However, am I right that you only want us to share with them that you need more people to work on the project and not about losing the staff? Is that right?
That's really precise, and actually that's part of the reason why I called the caucus, because it ended up that the business relationship evolved from the relationship that they had personally. So I just feel like it's also being a little bit aggressively mentioned, because although it is their personal affairs, they do have to just set that aside to talk about business, just to understand each other. So yeah, they're connected.
If it is okay for everyone, I would like to suggest in respect of your first offer, the first information you shared, Anna, I would suggest for parties to negotiate and discuss about, since both companies are located in Chip Valley, so that you can suggest and route your discussion in regard to sharing your network and collaboration, so that maybe parties can mutually benefit from their know-how. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, since our caucus has ended with Anna and council, does Farah and your council like to call a private caucus with us?
I believe my client would like to stay in the joint session for the sake of transparency.
Of course. We are very happy to hear that you would like to have the transparency. So after having some things that Anna has shared with us in the caucus, she would like the mediators to share on her behalf that actually they might need more people to work on the project, and that is one problem they are facing, and hence they would like to extend the deadline, and they also have a very favorable solution to offer. Anna, would you like the mediators to describe the solution, or would you like to describe the solution yourself?
I believe that if I try to explain my proposal and what we have thought together, me, Natalia, and our staff, it will be for a best understanding if Farah is okay with that. And maybe you can help by doing a quick sum up of the offer, if that's okay.
Of course, you can go ahead. I'll give you the sum up later.
Great, thank you. So as I've mentioned in the private session, we do thought of a solution regarding the matter we are facing of the agreement we had, because Farah, like the mediators mentioned, we are facing some lack of staff difficulty right now, and we truly need more staff so we can achieve what we had agreed before. And that's why we are facing a deadline issue, if you know what I mean. And because of that, just while I was thinking of a way to maybe propose something that will work for both of us, I thought of a non-equity partnership. I'm pretty sure that as a CEO, you're very aware that it is an agreement, a partnership that we wouldn't actually join the companies turning to one or maybe create a new one. It will be only an agreement. And this project, we will create together to launch some innovation regarding the prototype of your project with my innovation of the solar batteries that we had agreed before. So we thought of that because it would be a nice opportunity for us to expand both companies in the industry and reaffirm that we can work together towards a bright solution for the planet matters regarding the use of fuels, if you know what I mean. So essentially, that is the offer. Of course, we would need to discuss some financial matters and funding matters, which I also have some ideas that I think it might work, because as you're very aware, I am a prolific speaker at the UN climate change conferences. So I do have a reputation regarding talking about some matters, and as you've mentioned, inspiring some things. And it is a nice way for us to raise some funds. If you agree, obviously, I'm more than open to hear any suggestions you have. And I mean, the partnership was initially thought because of the lack of staff that we are facing. So we thought that we could work together in a solution to find a way for us to join our technologies, join both of our know-hows and staff, so we can just make it quicker and develop each time more and more innovations. I believe I made myself clear, but maybe Natalia wants to do some final addressings, and maybe the mediators can help us make sure that the proposal was fully understood.
Yes, so regarding this proposition, it's also important to emphasize that what Anna has mentioned is also a way to boost both companies' reputations and the prospect that they show around the world regarding their fight to make regarding transportation, regarding everything else. So the non-equity partnership would be also means to combine efforts and to make it in a manner that both companies will have their interests attended to. And the technical and financial aspects, we believe, will also be able to provide a certainty regarding the agreement that Arya has mentioned in his opening statement, and is also manners to try to rebuild in the best way possible the partnership between both companies and to improve the world image from both. We believe that this partnership, this proposition, can help that happen, and also deal with the contractual issues we have dealt with so far, and to correct that, and to also rebuild the partnership.
Thank you very much. Perhaps before my client responds to this, I would like to respond with two parts. The first of which is, I feel like that was a lot of information. Perhaps the mediator could help us after this. And second, I would like to clarify whether or not that was a proposal, because me and my client still believes that we are in the clarification stage of the mediation. Perhaps Ms. Farah would like to add on to this.
Right. Yeah, that's within my interest, actually. Ara, you're totally correct. I suppose that what you are trying to say is that you have been proposing several things to generate the solution, but in regards to this, I haven't actually fully clarified things that I'm concerned in regards to the deadline, Anna. So maybe if we could first settle on the clarification on my part, and later we could, hopefully the mediators could help us provide with the recapitulation from what Anna and Natalia has mentioned before, and we could go back on it and to add to also our propositions of solutions that we have. Would that be okay with you, Anna and Natalia?
Maybe sorry, yeah, Anna, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. So, Farah, I understand both you and Arya's confusing regarding what we have just addressed. So, I thought we were with the clarification of the deadline matter. I would like to reaffirm it to you that, as you've mentioned, you like to keep the business talk on point here. So, and something regarding the agreement and reestablishing the agreement. So I would like to just initiate a proposal to make sure that you understand that we want to reestablish the agreement, and we want to find some solutions together. And of course, address that one of your main issues is also one of our main issues, that will be the deadline. So it will be essentially that. Sorry.
Right.
Why, please feel free.
Thank you very much, Paula. That's totally fine. Anna, that's totally fine. Maybe for ISA or XY, you could please provide with the recapitulation. That'd be great.
Yes. So because I think, oh, sorry, Aisha, maybe I would just give a clearer view of where we are on the agenda right now. So maybe because when we said that we are putting aside the personal matters previously, parties had a unfortunate misunderstanding that we are over the first agenda point of clarification. However, I understand that Farah would like to clarify more on the details of the business part of these clarifications and not the personal part. So we definitely understand that we need to diagnose before we can cure. So I hope that both parties are willing to go back to the first agenda point, but keeping in mind that actually Anna has already proposed a solution and it's for the mutual benefit of both parties. Maybe that will be beneficial for both parties, and maybe Aisha has something to add.
Thank you so much, XY. I would like to clarify the situation is that while we were just about to transition into a caucus session, Anna thought that you and your council hadn't left the session. So she was just about to propose to explore your solutions. So that was the reason why she proceeded with the second point of our agenda as a clarification. But after the caucus, it was a misunderstanding by not taking the responding party's consent to do so. So please proceed and address your situation regarding the information you would like to receive. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I would like to first say that I hope the mediator took note of the very interesting proposal that was given by Ms. Anna. Perhaps it could be brought up later in the solution phase. For now, what I heard and what my client heard was that you were short on labor, if that was correct. Could you please elaborate more on this? Is this the sole reason for the delay? And if there's anything that we could do to help in regards to perhaps how many people do you need? Now, perhaps my client would like to add.
No, Arya, you have asked on my behalf perfectly. I would like to briefly hear the answer from Anna.
Yes, absolutely. So I just want to make sure that I understood that correctly. Maybe the mediators can help me. So you would like to understand the staff matter, the issue we're facing, that's being the shortage of professionals. However, you did mention a way, or if I'm correct, some way you could help. And I'm not sure if I understood that correctly, because you want to do some clarifications, and I thought that maybe offering a solution will be a way to explain just a way that we thought that you could help. So do you think you can just clarify that you will be interested in maybe exploring the solution after we clarify what happened with the staff matter and how it affects our current development?
Right. And yeah, as I was saying, as what my counsel had provided with the, I guess, question, I would understand better on, again, the needs of having more staffs to help conduct this project in the first place. And I am not close within the ideas of generating solutions. Obviously, this is the purpose of having a mediation, to collaborate on making a solution that will be mutually beneficial for the both of us. But you haven't actually answered my question, Anna. I just want to understand better on the reason why you need more, I guess, tough in regards to the project that we have right now. And yeah, I would like to hear your elaboration on this first before we move on to the solution generating.
No, absolutely. I will never leave your question unanswered. Trust me. I've mentioned in the private session to the mediators, I will never disrespect you or your wishes. So I would just like to clarify that I asked that just to make sure that regarding your help, how could you help us around the staff? It will be a way for us to maybe develop the proposition together. So answering your question. So what happened was, it is actually hard to bring that up. So I like to ask maybe Arshia or ex-wife for your help regarding the matter that I've mentioned in the private session. So Farah, what happened was startups, they always work with junior members on the team. They're quick responders, they are active, they are intelligent, they are inspiring. And I mean, they bring a new face to the company, if you know what I mean. So we have always worked with junior members. We never had any issues. However, some of those junior members, they began to leave the team, going to work to other space companies, which is very unfortunate because all of a sudden the artificial intelligence became, I'm sorry to use this word, but became more sexy, more attractive to them. I mean, as junior members, they're young and they look for different perspectives of life. So some of them started to leave our company, which highly affected our production and our development. It is a very unfortunate situation. I want you to understand that we are doing our best to attend your demands and attend this demand regarding the shortage of staff that we're facing. However, it's been very difficult because over the days, we've been realizing that more and more those junior members, they want to keep innovating. So it's one of the main reasons that we thought that a different solution might be attractive to this type of staff. I'm not sure if it was clear enough. Maybe as we have a lot of information and Natalia, I trust might want to add something. Maybe the mediators can help us later on to make sure that we were understood.
Before we add anything, is the council, Natalia, you want to say something?
Yes, I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute, but it wasn't working, technology. But yeah, what I was going to say is that mostly this shortage of staff, it's not simply like find the personnel, but also we have to pay this personnel to be able to contract them again. So that also costs us money, costs some money. So that I would just like to make that association that the shortage of personnel also like brings more costs to the production. So that's also partially why we're discussing regarding the agreement as well as deadline, as regarding the deadline and the payment. So that was just something that I would like to emphasize because I would just like to also know how much time do we have left, because we are addressing other matters, and I believe I'm not sure if we have so much time.
While the session supervisor has been giving us the time, maybe I can summarize a bit because a lot has been said. So I think Anna has very truthfully clarified the situation and tried to explain what's happening regarding the manpower. So I think she's saying that the startups is very competitive for manpower and especially young people. So they need more staff, and maybe they are also losing some of the staff to other startups because other startups are actually more sexy, as the word she used. I believe everyone can understand it better. And also the council has very clearly added that they would need more funding and more money to contract people also, hence the financial concerns that they raised in this mediation session. Of course, I'm very heartened to hear that both parties are agreeable that upon understanding all these clarifications, you guys want to propose new ideas and also come up with solutions. And just to summarize the solution that Anna has been giving, or would you guys like to move on to clarifications before I give a summary of the solution?
Right. Thank you, XY. Maybe it's okay to actually move forward to the solution generating, because we would obviously want to actually go somewhere with this discussion. But before that, thank you very much for Anna to get for giving me those clarifications in regards to what happens to the stuff that you have right now. And yeah, in the first place, I was just wondering, because before you're finding the cure, you have to actually know the diagnosis on the cure of the sickness. And I have truly understood what is currently going on by your elaboration. And with that, your solutions in regards to having more staff and us having to actually give you some money, we are although we are pretty reluctant on doing so, we are willing to try to actually collaborate with you on that. But also I would still have one thing for me in regards to my interest, which is in regards to the deadline. I was asking whether or not would, even if we have more staff and we give you more money, would it still be would the whole timeline of the project stick to the deadline that we first initially agreed? Maybe with that, Arya, would you like to recap just what I have just mentioned?
Oh, thank you very much. I guess this would be the last question of this clarification phase. My client just asked on how many people do you actually need regarding the concrete numbers, if there are any, and how much money would you require to fulfill this additional workforce, and when could we expect the new deadline? In this case, we are hoping, of course, the original contractual deadline could be met.
Arya, I'm sorry, Aisha, you were going to say something.
No, please go, then I can just proceed.
Okay, so Arya, I do agree that these contractual terms and these understandings are really important for the further negotiations, but I also see that our time is also nearing an end, and many things have been said in this session regarding your concerns, our concerns, and the contractual aspects that are important to you, and the solutions that we also intend to proportionate. So I was wondering if the mediators could also help make a big summary of all that has been said, because there are clearly points of the agenda that we still need to address further on, and also to proportionate an opportunity to a next mediation session, because you said that, Farah, you said that reluctantly you are willing to collaborate with us or to consider this possibility. And we feel the same way, Sun feels the same way. And so we were expecting that in a further session, we would be able to disclose these details that are important to you and to us as well in a better way. And also I believe that Anna has some things she would like to add, Leslie, but we also would like to require the help from the mediators for this, since we're nearing the closing of the session.
Thank you so much, Natalia.
Sorry, Asha, do you want to go on? I just would like to answer what Farah and Arya asked, just so I don't leave them without any clarifications.
Of course, just you proceed, then I can just make a quick information.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much. Farah, if I understood correctly from what you and Arya said, you would like to understand a bit more around numbers and something like that. Is that correct?
Yes, would you need a summary on the questions that Arya has asked?
Actually, it's just this quick question.
Yeah, Anna, that's correct.
Great. So what we thought would actually be regarding the deadline, if we have more staff, we'll have more people working on the project. So it will be easier for us to attend the deadline, but I'm afraid I cannot give you an assurance that we will be able to attend the deadline, because that's something we have to work on. And regarding the number of staff, it will be a much deeper conversation in how much each of the companies would invest in the agreement, and how much staff you'll be able to lend it to us. Because I mean, as Asha mentioned, we are in the Chip Valley, so it would be easier for us just to swap staffs and just keep them moving, and maybe find a solution that will attend our company's interest in, not only regarding this project, but the other projects that they have on its own. Because I mean, we cannot turn all our efforts to one project only, but essentially it would be that. So sorry, mediator, for interrupting you once again.
Right. I'm so sorry, Aisha. It's just that before you finally move on and recapping the whole situation, and to, I suppose, end the whole mediation, as we are actually constrained by time too, I would like to, I guess, also tell for both Aisha and XY to write down some of the things that both Anna and Natalia has previously mentioned before, and put it on our preliminary agreement in regards to the deadline, staff, and payment. Especially in regards to the deadline, I would like to also talk further about what kind of assurance that I can get with the money that I'm willing to invest upon them for the stuff that that they will have to incorporate in their project. And yeah, maybe those are some of the preliminary agreements that I would like to add upon, as well as some of the agendas, I suppose, that we haven't talked upon in this mediation. I guess that's all. I'll give it back to both Aisha and XY. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Aisha, you would like to add a little thing?
Yes, what I would like to add is, as I've taken away from your discussion, is that you can be in a place to share your network and know-how between each other to collaborate through a successful completion of your project. But as I've also taken away that the most significant interest of the responding parties, STAR, is the completion of the project in the time that agreed on their agreement in the first place. So I would like to highlight these manners. So in the next session of our mediation, these will be the clarifications and the points that we will proceed from. And also, I would like to remind you that please do not worry about the time, because today we are in a session and you are entitled to represent your speeches until the end of the session, until the last second. So please do not hesitate or worry about the time, okay? Thank you so much.
So maybe it's time for me to give a short summary on what has been discussed today. So both parties have been willing to put aside personal matters. However, of course, there's an option for both of you to consider to actually meet up personally and discuss your personal matters before the next mediation session, if that may better facilitate the session of your business relationship. So I believe that today the clarification on the communication issues, deadline and payment, which is the first agenda point, has been clarified as Farah have agreed upon previously. I heard that you said that everything was clarified and you're willing to move on to the solutions. So today, although Arya has asked for the specific numbers, I don't think Anna was able to give any specific numbers, but Anna has assured both parties that if there will be more staff, then it will be easier to fulfill the deadline, and that although she cannot give a sure number, but she believed that if both parties can work together, it will be easier. However, Farah would also like to know what kind of assurance she can get if the staff are exchanged or shared in any way possible. So maybe we can discuss that in the next mediation session. And of course, Anna said that the number of staff requires a deeper discussion because it's dependent on how both parties can work together. And of course, Anna has proposed a wonderful solution that maybe both parties would like to consider in the next mediation session, which is the non-equity partnership, that both parties can have joint technology and joint staff to develop quicker and have more innovations to also boost the both parties' reputation, as Natalia has added for us. So in summary, for the next mediation session, maybe both parties can move on to the second and third point of the today's agenda, which is exploring the risk and solutions for completion of the project and future collaboration with the basis of Anna's solution, which is the non-equity partnership. Is that a correct summary for all parties? Is there anything you want to add?
Maybe just a final addressing, I'd like to say that it has made me very hopeful to hear that, Farah, you're willing to consider the money and the staff issue, because I truly believe that, as I've mentioned, writing the first statement that I made, it is the first step towards an ideal agreement. Well, it would be actually a marriage in space. So both companies would essentially join forces to achieve a common solution. So I truly appreciate it. And I'd like to say again that hopefully you consider the solution, consider all the legal matters. And who knows, maybe we can even try to work out even greater achievements for both companies, like indeed creating a new company for innovations and new developments towards the space industry. But essentially is that I'd like to thank you all, especially Natalia, for such a great legal support, and Farah just reaffirmed that it was, as you mentioned, always nice seeing you. So thank you. And also,
Right.
obviously, the mediators for all your help.
Likewise, Anna, I am truly great that we are actually able to advance the discussion, and your proposals were very great. Although I am truly sorry that you couldn't actually provide us with concrete numbers, hence my understanding that to actually reach upon an agreement, you have to provide us with concrete numbers. And with that, I am looking forward to meeting you as well as Natalia in our next future mediation sessions. And I totally echo on what you said. It's nice to see you again after a long time. And I would like to also thank both the mediators. And yeah, with that, I would like to give the time back to the mediators.
Thank you so much. So as a closure, I would like to say that parties determine their contractual relationship today in accordance with the points that they mutually discussed and negotiated. It is very important for both parties to acknowledge that the solutions we discussed today have taken in account and will be significantly enforceable in the